Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Coming Down to Earth with Spirit podcast with me, David Hale. Like with Season 1, we will continue talking about all things spiritual in a real and down-to-earth way. So I hope you can join me on my podcast journey so you can learn from my own spiritual journey and experiences with spirit in order to help you on your own spiritual journey and development. So join me now as we get into this episode. Well, hello everybody and welcome to the first episode in this The Free Zone series. And this is the zone where we're free to talk about all different kind of things which are helpful, informative, and where I can give my little tips and advice on certain things which are not necessarily to do with spirit or mediumship, but things which hopefully you can take away and apply to yourself to help you along your own path. And although this episode is called Mind Your Own Business, it sounds stronger than it's actually meant. So I mean minding your own business in a positive way, because I mean it in the sense of minding your own business in order to protect your sanity, really, because I think at the moment we're in a place in the world where a lot of things are driving a lot of people mad, including myself, and we're getting a bit frustrated with things that we're seeing, whether it's on the news or social media or whatever. And sometimes we don't need to get involved in those things. So I'm going to give my advice, not that I'm an expert at all, but my advice and tips on how to avoid those negative things, the dramas, and speak from my own perspective. So I hope you enjoy it and you get something out of it, if not just a laugh. So the reason I chose to do this episode is just purely based on recent happenings that are going on in the UK, because yet again we have a scandal surrounding one of our popular, was popular, not so much anymore, one of our popular TV presenters and the situation surrounding that. And like always, people jump on that bandwagon of spouting their opinion, some of which are quite vile, some of which are not backed up in fact at all. However, these people who have a platform, like TV presenters, news pundits, jump on that bandwagon of let's slag this person off, let's call them this, let's call them that, without actually having any fact to back it up. Now, I have a lot of opinions on that story as well, but I'm not going to share them because that's not what's important here. But, when you look at what's going on, and with also not just that, but things that have happened in the past couple of years with COVID and Harry and Meghan and all that kind of stuff, yet again, people who are not directly affected by any of those things are arguing with each other, calling each other names, telling each other what to believe, what's wrong, they're wrong, you should believe this, you should believe that, if you don't believe this, you're that, and it just drives me mad seeing people do this. And it's only because it's such a waste of time. Now look, part of the human condition is to question, is to debate, is to want to get your opinion across, because we all have the right to an opinion. But when it gets to a place where, people are arguing with other people that don't even know through a keyboard, either on a phone or a laptop, I really do question the state of humanity. And look, we can't always avoid those negative situations or interactions, but what we can do as humans, because we have free will, is to choose what we get involved in. And that's where minding your own business comes in. But what do I really mean by that? Well, let's talk about just how I live my life, really. I've learned, because look, life is very short and we need to make the most of it. And the only way we can make the most of it is by doing things that benefit us, and not in a selfish way, but in a way that allows us those life experiences that we should have, those positive experiences. And look, this is not about toxic positivity here, because I'm not a fan of that either, that you're not positive all the time, because everything has an opposite. Where there's positive, there is negative. So yes, we are going to have some negative situations in our life, but this life is also about living, and it's about doing things which add value to our life, which is why I call it minding your own business, because I personally do not get involved in things, whether they're the mundane arguments, whether they're world situations going on. I don't get involved in things which don't add any benefit or any value to my life, because why would I? And why would you? So when you're looking at certain situations, no matter what the situation is, you need to ask yourself, if I get involved in this, what is it adding to my life? What benefit does it give me? What life experience does it give me, which I'm going to learn from? And, I'll give some really silly examples, right? Just to kind of explain what I'm trying to say here. So if you look at the past couple of years, Harry and Meghan have been constantly in the news. Some people have absolutely slated them. Some people have been fans of them. I myself, I don't really care. I'm not a royalist. They don't bother me because they don't impact my life. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what Kate and William are doing. I'm really not bothered, because I look at that and think, why are people arguing over which side they should be on? Why are people arguing about what they think of Meghan or what they think of Harry? Why are people who don't even know them getting involved in calling them names and saying they should do this and saying they should do that? What are you doing? Do they pay your bills? No, we pay theirs. And that's how I look at life as well, is that unless you're paying my bills, I'm not paying any attention to you. Why would I? I've got things to do. Why am I getting involved in discussing two people who I could care less about, who, again, they have no impact on my life? They are not part of my life journey, part of my development in any kind of way. So why would I, and why would any other person who does not know them, get involved and embroil themselves in those kind of slatings, basically? Because that's what has happened with them. They've been slated left, right and centre. And also, but aside from just not wanting to get involved in the conversation, why would I want to constantly call people names? Why would people want to constantly say this, say that in really derogatory terms? Do you know, it says a lot more about the person that's saying those things than it actually says about anybody else. And I'm not one of those people that's going to get involved in doing that. So that's just an example of maybe it's a silly example, but it's things that you see. People are arguing over stupid things. Why would you do that? It's a bit like, skeptics looking at my work. A skeptic can say what they want about my work, but they're not the ones paying my bills. They're not the ones, they're never going to be that skeptic over there who's saying this, that and the other about me. If they are, I've never had it said to my face, but I'm not bothered, because they're not going to be one of my clients. They're not going to add any benefit to my work or my development. So I need to pay attention to those things that are going to benefit my development, whether that's personal, whether that's spiritual. I'm not going to put my attention on those things, people, situations that are not going to help me grow and develop as a person. So that is why I mind my own business. And so I hope it gives you something to think about, because look, I'm not saying that people listening to this are getting involved in all those shenanigans, but it just serves as a reminder to think about certain things, or to think in a certain way before acting on getting involved in those types of situations and giving your opinions and all that kind of business. I mean, this episode could go on for ages, and I've tried to record this episode about 5 times already because I keep going off on different tangents. So I'm going to try and bring it to a close now before I go off on another tangent, or a rant even. But yeah, I hope it gives you something to think about and something to remember. Remember, it's okay to zone out that negativity and to only focus on positivity. And again, it's not about this whole toxic positivity thing that you always got to be happy and everything's light and fluffy, because I'm not that kind of person. As you know, if you listen to me or watch me work, I'm not an airy fairy person. And sometimes I do have those days where I don't feel positive, where I do feel a bit like pessimistic, I should say. But it's just important that we try to steer more towards the positive things in life, or those things that are really going to help us to move forward with our life and do things that are good for us and keep that negative stuff out. So anyway, I'm going to finish it there before I go off on even more tangents. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you all soon. Well, there you have it. That's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed what you heard and you found it interesting. There are plenty more episodes to come, so stay tuned, and I'll speak to you all soon.